Up getting one of the city grants that I talked about. She got $25,000 in city grant. She did an FHA loan where it's 3.5% down payment, but she was able to go through Virginia Housing and get a 2.5% grant.
Welcome to Dollars and Cents, the podcast. My name is Amy Dahl, and I'm your host, and you're in my living room. I'm excited to have you join me today. Here on Dollars and Cents, we talk about leadership, generosity, and family success. And today, I am very excited to welcome Gaylen Johnson, one of my favorite loan officers in the business. She is a local Atlantic Bay mortgage officer who I have used for many, many years, and we have done many transactions together. And she is going to talk to us today about the market. And we're going to talk about lending and get to know her. She's an incredible resource in Hampton Roads, and we are just so fortunate to have you. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you. So tell us a little bit about yourself first. We'll get a little personal right off the bat. So talk to me about your background and how you got into the mortgage industry.
So I started in the mortgage industry, in the early 2000s. I was living in Colorado, and I started working as a closer at a title company. Saw many different things at that time because, there were crazy loans out there, yield spreads, and all kinds of things. And just worked there for probably 10 years. After having my daughter and then a son, my husband and I decided to move near family, and so we ended up moving to Virginia Beach, where I'm from. And I started working for Atlantic Bay Mortgage. My mom and my three sisters all worked for Atlantic Bay as well, so it's kind of in our blood.
Family affair.
And so it was a perfect fit. And just been here since 2011, just working. I still work with my sister, 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐿𝐿, and we are just moving along, and we love working for Atlantic Bay and working with RE/MAX Alliance.
Yeah, you guys are like the dynamic duo. I think 99% of my business comes through you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah, it's really awesome. It is awesome knowing when you refer a client to somebody that they're going to get the kind of service that you want to give them. You want every vendor that you send them to, or every other professional, to operate the same way. And I never question it. Like, it's so super easy. I send them, put them in your hands, and I know they're just well taken care of, which is awesome.
I love it. Thank you.
So you've been in the business for a while. You've seen both sides. So you've seen lending and underwriting and closing, and you've been on the backside of it too.
Yeah. It's been interesting.
All right. So the question that everybody loves to ask, and we always kind of groan about in the industry a little bit, is what do you see the mortgage rates doing right this year?
So
we'll get that off the table, because that's what everybody asks us. Let's get it
over with. I do see that I do not think that we'll see mortgage rates dropping a lot this year. Obviously, never say never.
Right.
We don't know what could happen. But as far as forecasts and things like that, it doesn't look like mortgage rates are going to drop. But, people are getting off the fence, and they are getting into the market. And we're starting to see a lot of people buying and taking advantage of just purchasing right now before even home rates go. Prices increase.
Yeah. So. Have you, I'm seeing that a lot too. Are you feeling like, what I'm feeling like is that people have resigned themselves to rates aren't going to drop. The market's not going to crash. The price values are there, and we're only going to get busier as the spring and summer continue to go. But
yes, we're starting to see it already now.
Yeah.
So it's good. I think it's going to be a great year. And I think people are realizing, rates are not going to be in the threes anymore. It's just not going to happen.
But historically, you've been in the business long enough to know that historically these rates are not high. They're only high for those who have been in the market for the last 4 or 5 years.
Correct. I mean, think about a 30-year loan in the sixes, 6% range is really good.
Yeah.
It's hard for people to
swallow
get that
them
mindset.
when we had
Yeah.
2.5% for a year or
Right.
two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is hard. So one of the things I love about working with you is that you are great about finding, creative ways to help people. Talk to me about some of the non-traditional, we do a lot of VA loans, we do a lot of straight conventional loans, but talk to me and tell me about some of the creative ways you've been able to help people who may not fit in a normal box when it comes to getting a loan.
So there are a lot of programs out there to help people that maybe someone that doesn't have a lot of money, in the bank, and they don't have, 3.5% down payment or something like that. There are city grants out there. There's programs through Virginia Housing. And, I try to find what's going to be the best program for this particular borrower. Some borrowers, there are income limits to it, but, some borrowers can qualify up to $25,000 to help with down payment and closing costs.
Wow.
So it really is, there are really some great programs to help people. You just have to know where to find them.
Yeah. And you go digging for those, which I
Yeah.
love.
We try to, think outside the box and see, okay, this person, maybe they don't have 3.5%, and maybe, the seller isn't willing to pay closing costs, but maybe there's another way.
Yeah. That's
So
awesome.
we try to do that, which is good. And it's so amazing to help people and see them get into their first home.
Yeah.
And the pride that they have, and
that they're no
really
longer
great.
renters and that they get to
I love
own
helping
something.
first-time home buyers as well.
Yeah. Oh, I can agree with that. Even 20 years in the business, there is nothing more rewarding than watching somebody hand somebody the keys to their first home, knowing that they own it, that they've got something to pass down to the next generation.
And then we get to help them again on their next one.
Yes. Yeah. And they usually do.
It usually happens.
Yeah. And it really does take a tribe. It takes an army of people to get them to that spot sometimes.
Really
so I always, and you've been doing this a long time too, I always thought it would be really hard as a loan officer, though, to have to tell somebody that they don't qualify. We do get calls from people that just don't qualify.
Yeah.
How do you do that? How do you handle that?
So we don't say you don't qualify. It's just more of you don't qualify right now. Yeah. And here are the things that you can do to get you to where you need to be. Maybe we suggest, maybe you do rent for one more year, but we're going to work with you over that year to maybe get your credit, give a little bruised credit or something that you can work on to get you to where you need to be. So we don't always just turn people down and move on.
Right.
We're always there for them. It could take a year. It could take 2 years. But we're there to work with them and help them get to that point of buying.
And I've actually seen you guys do that. You give great guidance on, because not all debt is equal, that if you're trying to increase your, approval limits, if you pay off this particular debt but leave this one going,
right,
that this will boost what you qualify for. And I've seen you guys do that, and it's really amazing. Or, sticking with people for a year while they, while they come back from that bruised credit, you help them, which is really, really kind of awesome.
It really is good.
Yeah. You said something else. It's just my train of thought. About helping the buyers. One of the misconceptions I hear a lot lately too or confusion, I'd say. The confusion is from our VA buyers. And some people know that you can own more than one home with a VA loan. Some people don't. There's a lot of confusion because VA loan limits have changed over the years on how much they qualify for. So talk to me a little bit about owning more than one home with your VA loan.
So if you do own a home with a VA, there are ways to then buy another home. I mean, the VA doesn't set it up to where you can build, a rental pool or something like that. You really do need to move into the new home that you do purchase.
Yep.
But the way that it works is we take your eligibility that you used when you purchased the first home.
Which you pull off of a government website. It is not.
Right.
So people guess at their eligibility. They call me all the time and they're like, oh, I bought this house for $400,000, but I only owe $300 left on it. So, I have X amount of eligibility left. And it doesn't go by
It doesn't go by what you owe. It goes by what
purchased.
You used when you purchased.
Yes.
Correct. And so it's always a good idea first to go through your lender.
Yep.
And have them request a certificate of eligibility so they can see what you've actually used. And then we can do a calculation to let you know, here's what you can purchase with 0 down.
Which is based on the county that you're buying in, too.
It's based on the county loan limits, the conforming loan limits.
Yep.
And so here it is 806,500.
Yep. And so 806,500 is our 2025 number.
Yes.
Yes. So hopefully people realize that. It is pretty cool.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
I remember when I started in the business, it was 458,850. Don't ask me why I remember that. It's such an odd number.
I remember that. It wasn't that long ago.
I know. It wasn't that long ago.
But
prices have gone up, and at least the VA is starting to catch up.
That's correct.
Yeah, which is really nice. And then in that calculation too, we start having to factor in debt to income ratios and stuff like that. So it is always
you definitely still have to qualify with your debt to income ratio and owning both homes.
Yep.
There are ways to offset that first payment if you're going to say you're increasing your home size because you have a family now, and you can use rental income to offset it. Just to offset the payment. You can't use it as income necessarily, but it can kind of offset that payment to help you get into something more.
And one of the other questions I get, I think most people know you cannot use your VA loan to buy a straight rental. You have to be moving into it. It's got to become your primary residence.
That is correct.
But you can do a multifamily. And we don't get that question a lot out here. I see it a lot in other markets in California and stuff where it's easier to find a multifamily.
Yeah.
But I just had it this week, and they are looking for something where a duplex where they can live in one side. And so, have you seen anybody do that too?
I have seen that. Yeah. I've had somebody buy a fourplex and rent out 3 and live in 1.
Yeah.
So there are ways if you're, a single person maybe, and you want to try to just help somebody pay your mortgage ultimately.
Yep.
There are ways to do it, and where it's legal.
Right. Where it's
You're
legal.
not just renting it out. You are moving into the property.
We are not endorsing people break the rules. Neither one of us want to go down that road.
Don't.
So what about if they want to go above that conforming loan limit mark and their debt to income supports it and they qualify?
Yeah, so they can go above that, but they may just have to come with some of a down payment.
Right. And it's a calculation.
There is a calculation. I couldn't tell you the exact calculation right now, but it's based on, what their eligibility is,
how much
and how high they
down.
want to go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the moral of the story is reach out to your loan officer and do not guess.
No.
Don't guess.
Always confirm the calculation first before you start shopping. Yeah. And it's really easy for us to do.
Yep. And one of the things I really love, I know I brag on you guys all the time because I do so much work with you, but one of the things I really love, and where I'd lost my thought earlier, is you were talking about helping people and not telling them that they don't qualify. It's that they don't qualify right now.
Right.
And then you give them guidance on how to get there. But what I really love is that when you do tell them that they qualify, they're going to closing. Like you know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, you can get them to closing. And I've had so many other lenders that, because they're looking for the loan or the business, that will throw out, oh yeah, you qualify. And then we're halfway through the transaction and all of a sudden they realize that there was documentation they needed. There are always instances where surprises could come up that we just didn't know.
That we can't control.
Yeah, that we can't control. But you guys really do your best to do your diligence from the very beginning.
We do.
And I think that's what has really gained has gained Atlantic Bay such a great reputation in our area, is because most of their lenders are like that. If you get a letter from an Atlantic Bay loan officer, you know that those buyers are well qualified, that they're going to qualify. And you're very honest with people right up the bat. Like, hey, we are pushing our limits on our debt to income here, and this is 50-50.
We don't like surprises.
No. And I've watched you push it through underwriting first to get full
We
approval
can.
first.
We can do TBD underwriting where
Yeah.
we can turn everything into the underwriter before they even start shopping
Yeah.
and get that, loan approval ahead of time.
Because you don't want to find something and fall in love with it
Mhm.
and then realize that you can't get there.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the sellers don't want that either.
No, they don't.
Now they're under contract
Nobody
and we
wants
can't.
that. You don't want to find a house that you love and you can't buy it.
Yeah. Tell me, I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Okay.
Tell me one of your favorite stories of somebody that you've helped over the years that really cemented why you're in this business.
I just recently helped someone who I had been working with probably for over a year or maybe 2 years. She had come to a first-time homebuyer class that I did, and I was helping her with credit, and he just has a certain amount in some savings, and she ended up getting one of the city grants that I talked about. She got 25,000 in city grant. She did an FHA loan where it's 3.5% down payment, but she was able to go through Virginia Housing and get a 2.5% grant as well. So 2.5%.
That's a lot of money.
Plus 25,000. And then
And did the 2.5% go towards the down payment?
Goes towards a down payment. So of course closing costs are not 25,000. So what happens with the overage is you basically lower the loan amount. So then your payment is going to be lower. So it really is a great thing. And then on top of that, there's something called Spark funds, where if you go through Virginia Housing or the cities, you can usually get a 1-point discount in your rate as well.
Wow. I've never heard of that.
There are a lot of programs out there. She fit with the income limit, and she's the happiest ever to own her first home. And it's a really great thing.
That is awesome.
It was really awesome.
That is really neat. On the other end of the spectrum, are you still seeing for investors that want to do traditional financing that it's best to put 25% down?
Definitely 25% down is going to get you the better rate.
Yeah.
Just even 20% down, the rate could be up to a point higher.
Yeah, I'm seeing that too. When we look at traditional financing for investment properties, it's better to throw that extra 5% in there.
Yeah, for sure.
And you save.
It's worth it.
Absolutely.
In the rate.
Probably not seeing many refis right now since rates have gone up versus down.
You're not seeing that.
I'm sure you've done. Yeah, I think actually somebody did. I had a VA assumption through Atlantic Bay where somebody had bought with Atlantic Bay. They still held the loan.
There are assumptions. Always just know you don't go through a loan officer when you do an assumption.
Right.
You go through whoever the
bank is that holds the loan.
Holds it.
Yeah, and I think that's a very common misconception for people. And I have that question at least once or twice a week. I just had somebody reach out to me super excited like, oh, it's a VA assumption and I want to assume this loan. Yeah. And I pulled the history of it and they bought the house 10 years ago. And the balance on the mortgage was 100. It worked out. No, it was more than that. It was $200,000 less than the list price now.
Right.
Because they paid it down and inflation and the market had gone up. And I said, you've got to be prepared to bring that difference.
You have to bring
because you're
cash.
Cash. Plus your closing
only
costs.
Assuming the loan, and you can't get an additional loan on top of that.
Right. You're assuming the balance on the loan. That's it. So they only work if you were going to be a conventional buyer anyway, and you were bringing money to the table. Correct. And they're best if somebody's only owned the house like 2 or 3 years.
It is great to do it if you have the cash to do that.
Yeah.
And assume that very low rate.
Yeah. But they don't work a lot.
No.
It's got to be the right scenario.
And it can take anywhere from 3 to 6 months.
Yeah. I've had one. I've done quite a few of them. The situation has to be right where the person's only owned the house a couple of years. They haven't paid much off, or the buyer has a lot of cash, one or the other. But you're right. I had one close in 45 days. I've had 2 close in 45 days. Very rare. Yes. I had one that took 8-9 months. My sellers were in Japan. We kept having to re-sign the paperwork because it took so long. So, and the buyers had moved in and started renting their house in the meantime because we were waiting to close. So sometimes they're crazy.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part about being a loan officer?
I mean, I love working with all borrowers, any borrower, but watching that first time home borrower is really great because they're so excited and this is their first time and everything is new and it's just really fun.
Yeah.
But I mean, I also love working with my sister. It's really nice. We work in the same office and we're great with each other and that part is awesome too.
Well, and you cover for each other, so you can like have a life. You can
if
go
one
out
of
of
us
town.
is gone or somebody needs, a pre-approval letter, the other can send it and it's really helpful.
Yes, I can relate to that.
Tag team.
I don't know. I don't know what real estate would be like without a team personally, because I've always had a team, just like the two of you. And so I know when I'm gone, my clients are still in great hands, and you guys are the same way. Yeah, it's really awesome.
It is great.
And you guys are coming out to R4, which is our RE/MAX convention.
We are.
Oh gosh, it's coming up a week and a half, 2 weeks from now. 20. Yeah, 2 weeks from now.
3rd.
Yeah, we have next weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys have been amazing over the years coming out and supporting us. You guys support us with training. You train the agents in our office, always bringing in, we're doing a lunch and learn, I think on Wednesday, where we're bringing in, some contract review type stuff. You're going to fly all the way out to Vegas to celebrate with us.
Fly out to Vegas.
I know. Twist your arm, right? To celebrate all the agents' accomplishments in the office. And you guys.
Appreciation for all of you. It's going to be really fun.
Yes. It's a fun cocktail party. So we appreciate you. If somebody wanted to find you, where could they find you?
I'm on Instagram and Facebook, Gaylen Johnson. You should be able to find me there. I don't think there's many of those. So.
I don't know. I don't think there's any other Gaylen Johnson loan officers in the area either, which is great. And before we end, because we talk a lot about generosity on this podcast too, we should talk about, I talked to your sister. She was one of my very first interviews actually in the office. And we talked a lot about first-time home buyers. But I don't remember that we talked about one of the other things that I am passionate about is supporting local businesses and supporting local businesses in particular that are very generous. And Atlantic Bay is incredibly generous. I was just over at the new mental health hospital for Children's Hospital, the King's Daughters, and it was really cool to see. We do a lot with 𝐶HKD, but it was neat to see Atlantic Bay's name right there as one of the big sponsors for that new hospital. But you guys do a lot of smaller stuff too. Yeah. Talk to us about ABC, Atlantic Bay Cares.
AB Cares is a program that we have, and we support all kinds of different things, and local things in all of the areas that we're in. So, but we do a lot of things with Rock Solid.
Yep, which is the building of swing sets.
Yep, swing sets for
children
with cancer.
Yep. And we have stuffed backpacks for the families that when their kids are admitted into the hospital.
Ready bags.
Yeah, ready bags is what they call, which are amazing. That's a lot of fun. What's your favorite thing that, I know Atlantic based on quite a few charities I can think of over the years. What's your favorite charity that you guys support?
I mean, I do love Rock Solid, and I have done some of the builds, and it's just to see, the child come out after we've put together the play set and play on it, and just and the relief that the parents have, just to see their child so happy, and it just feels really good.
Getting to be a normal kid after going through all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very cool. Especially you're a mom, so it really it tugs on your heartstrings. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you for being here. I'm excited to see where this year goes. I think we're going to have a really busy year.
I think it's going to be great. Yeah. So far, so good.
Yeah, it is kicking off. It's been so busy this week that I went to book a home inspection with the home inspector, and usually I can book him within the first week, and he's like, booking over a week out right now. So I know that if I'm that busy, that everybody else is that busy too. So
definitely.
It's going to be a good year.
Yes, it is.
We will see lots of you, and we will talk to you a lot. And thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
If you guys are looking for the best loan officers in the business, make sure you reach out to Gaylen Johnson and her sister. They are amazing with Atlantic Bay Mortgage. And if you like this podcast and you find it beneficial, please find us on Spotify, on all the social media channels. Click like and join and subscribe to our channel. And stay tuned. We release podcasts every 2 weeks. and we hit lots of great topics. If you're interested in being a guest, make sure you reach out as well. And we can't wait for you to join us in 2 weeks. Talk to you soon.